Thank you.
Okay. You have a little bit more time as I get ready to collect this data, but just be aware I am about to collect it. Is the PowerPoint still in there? So let's have a quick conversation about it. Before we get into that, I do want to talk. I have, honestly, a student that I really, really like in my third block who was suspended recently due to vaping. Guys, stop being dumb. Like, one, vapes ain't cool. They aren't. Like, people have been smoking for years. It's just now digital. It's still not cool. Don't do it. And if you're gonna do it, don't do it at the school. Like, if you're gonna be stupid the smart way. And that means don't do it at school. Okay? Plainly put, if you're found vaping, you get suspended for what, 3 days? Is that the policy?
I thought it was 5.
5 days for a vape?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want you to think about the fact that that is a stupid thing to get suspended for 5 days over. Right? It's not cool. 1, 2, that's not worth 5 days. Not even in the slightest. You come back after missing 5 days on the block system, that's the equivalent on the period system of missing 10 days. It is really hard to make up what you miss if you miss 10 days worth of school, okay? So, please, I implore you, don't be stupid. Don't do dumb things. Like, if you're going to do something dumb like that, wait till after school. But better than that, just don't do it. Like, there's way better things. Food tastes way better. Like, plainly put, eat some food. Right? So, like, you know, just be smart about your decision. So, the question here was, are the lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? One person went with parallel. 13 of us said perpendicular and 8 of us said neither. So how are we going to figure out if it's parallel, perpendicular, or neither?
First, if they're parallel, they're, what's it called?
We clearly see that they're intersecting, so they're not parallel.
Say that one more time, Kelsey.
We clearly see that they intersect, so they're not parallel.
They clearly intersect, right? So could they be parallel?
No.
No. Definitely not parallel lines, right? So that should be the first hint. But if we're going to say that they are perpendicular,
They intersect at a 90 degree.
they intersect at a 90-degree angle, but I mean, did y'all have a protractor measuring that angle out?
No.
No? Did you know there actually is a way to do that, I believe, on here? I haven't tested this here. I'm actually about to find this out for the first time. I need to click here. Geometry? Is there a way to measure angles? Yeah, there is. See if it actually works. Nope, that's not what I want. Oh, it's in radian mode? Never mind, don't even worry about it. Okay, you can measure it, as I just found out. I have to change the mode that I'm in. Radians isn't, it's not degrees, whole different issue. But beyond that, okay, we would then have to like measure it to see if it actually is at 90 degrees. That's not the easiest way to figure out if it's perpendicular or not. How can we figure out if it's perpendicular?
Slope.
Pay attention to that slope, right? Okay, what is the slope of this blue line right here?
Y equals -2 times x.
That's the slope?
No.
Oh,
The
no.
slope
It's
is
actually,
up 2 and to the left 1.
Okay, how are you getting that? Tell me where to start.
Point of intersection is where I'll start.
So like, tell me when to stop, because that's where I'm starting. Sounds weird, but
Oh, wait. Okay, right there.
right there? Okay, so I'm starting here, and then you said I'm going up
To the left 1.
to the left 1. So my slope is what?
2
over 1.
So plus 2.
2 divided by 1.
There we go. That's the language I like to hear. So it's, wait, -2. Hey, look at the equation for that. Does anyone see that -2 anywhere?
Yeah.
Where?
There's the,
That's true. Damn, I'll get it later. That's embarrassing. Say it one more time. Right before the what? the x. Well, it's right before the x. Does anyone remember the name of this equation of a line? Slope, intercept form.
No.
Matthew, you're just saying words. You didn't even think through those words. What shape does a Pythagorean theorem go with? A right triangle. Come on now. Okay, so what is the equation of this line? Y equals, or the general equation of a line? Y equals mx plus b. Hey, what does what does that m mean again? Oh, so did you even have to go to the line to figure out the slope? It was there, and I'm glad we thought about it because we calculate slope as rise divided by run, and I actually did this on purpose. I gave you the graph and the equation so we could talk about this. But I do want you to notice, you didn't even have to do rise divided by run. My slope was right there. We good with that idea? Okay. So then I look at my red line. What is my slope?
Up one to the right two.
So up 1 and to the right 2. So what is that slope? 1 divided by 2 or 1/2. Anyone see that in the equation down here?
Oh my gosh.
Right before the x? Because again, it's y equals mx plus b. So do we have to do rise divided by run if we have the equation? No, Mr. Kenny. Can you?
Give me that.
Yes, okay. So I want y'all to see that there are options. There's beauty in mathematics because if you can, or because you can see it in multiple ways. Anton, you paying attention? Your eyes look a little closed, okay? Kyson? Okay. Brandon, have you looked at the board while I'm going over this? Eyes up on the board, all right. So we want to notice that there are multiple ways to go about this. Hey, Matthew, is that one of the markers you're supposed to have?
It
It looked really pretty? Yeah, I know. That's why I like to hold on to them to use on the board.
It looks really like.
Nuh-uh. Okay. So, we already said they can't be parallel. The other question is, could they be perpendicular?
Yeah.
What do I need to do to check to see if they're perpendicular?
Right. They intersect at right.
Hold on. I need us to stop for a second. Why am I looking at slopes if I'm trying to figure out if they intersect at a 90-degree angle? Anybody have an answer? Remember, Matthew, if you're going to say they intersect at a 90-degree angle, you have to measure that angle. Do you right now have one of these protractors to measure that angle?
No.
If I gave it to you, could you really do that on that little calculator though?
No.
No. Okay. If I gave you a table, can you measure an angle on a table? No. There's just numbers on the table. If I just gave you an equation, can you measure the angle measure on that equation?
No.
No. So you cannot just say, okay, it's 90 degrees every single time. What needs to be true for these lines to be perpendicular when it comes to the slope?
Opposite and something.
Opposite and reciprocal. So their product becomes what? -1. So we have one slope that is -2. The other slope is 1/2. Are they opposites? Yes. Are they reciprocals?
Yes.
Yes.
Wait.
Remember, this -2 is understood to be divided by.
But
So are they opposites? Negative versus positive? Yes. Are they reciprocals? Yes. Pick up your calculator and do -2 times 1/2. Show me. Test it. I'm tired of us intellectually knowing it without actually checking it, and so we don't understand it as well as we could. Pick up the calculator and do -2 times 1/2. So -1, -1, -1, okay? Guys, I need you to understand, like, intellectually, some of us understand that it's supposed to be -1, but without actually going through the steps, we're going to miss the mark, and we're not going to fully understand and see that it happens. I need you to not just hear me say that it happens, I need you to see on your own that it's happening. You will understand it better. I want you to be successful, but some of us got to get out of our own way, which means stop being lazy, pick up a calculator, and just type in a couple of buttons. -2 times 1/2. Whew! All that being said, the answer to this one is perpendicular. Did we have a little bit more trouble with this one here? The second one?
yes.
Yes? I see several of us, I would say almost half of us, no, a little over half of us said parallel. A couple of us said perpendicular, a few of us said neither. Okay? So how am I going to figure out if they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither? I need a way.
Look at the table.
Look at the table. What is the table?
The slopes.
The X and Y values.
So look at the X and Y values. So the what though about them?
Slopes.
The slopes, right? And I need the slopes to be what? The same. If I'm going to claim they're parallel, I need to show that those slopes are what again? The same. Thank you. So let's look at this table. Okay. And I know it's a little hard to see trying to put all that together. That's my fault. But, all right, so here is x1 and y1. We don't have a graph. We don't have an equation. So I can't just look at the equation to get the slope. I can't do rise divided by run. Claire, how am I going to find my slope based on this table here?
Change in X and Y.
Okay, so slope is the change in x divided by the change in y. Is that what you were saying? Yes? We all agree? Why don't you say no?
Is it supposed to be the other way?
Double
Change in
Y.
Y.
You agree with that now, Claire? So don't forget, we should all know based on the graph, slope is what divided by what? On the graph. Rise divided by run. Go back to that fundamental, right? So when I rise, Claire is rising in x or a y direction?
Y. It's going up.
Claire. So I'll come back to Claire in a second. So you say rise is y? Yes? So Claire, run, is that in x or a y direction? X, right? So we want to be careful about that. Pairing those ideas together, so it should be change in y divided by change in x. Okay, so what is my change in y?
Negative 8, negative 5, negative 2, 1, 4.
So what's the change?
Oh, minus 3.
So minus 3 all the way through here? So 1 minus 3 is 4?
Plus 3.
Oh, we need to be careful about that. Remember, to get less negative, we are adding. Plus 3. So my change in y is 3
Over.
What?
divided by. So how much is the x changing by?
1. So you want to add like 3 and all that?
That's because you got the reciprocal, but did you do the change in y divided by the change in x? Or did you do x divided by y, Kelsey?
I don't even remember.
I mean, you wrote down 1/3,
I did.
and yeah, you did. You did. But the change in y was how much? 3. The change in x was,
I still got the right answer.
just because you got parallel doesn't mean you got the right slope.
You got the right
I'll
answer.
explain in a second, but hold on. Kelsey, do you see and understand that it is in fact 3? Don't just say yes. That's
He knows it.
Okay, do you really understand it?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll show you in a second how that works, but we now need to look at our second slope. So let's look at x2 and y2. So now, I still need change in y and I need change in x. So what is my change in y?
Subtract 6.
4.
Minus 6? Remember, you can use calculators to guess and check that if you need to. What's my change in x?
2. I said 2.
So minus or plus?
Plus 2.
Plus 2 here?
No, minus 2.
Minus 2? Okay. So, Kelsey, I believe you looked at something similar to this and you're like, I don't know what to do now. Does anyone know what to do at this point?
Yeah, it's divide.
Okay, how are you going to divide it?
You gotta do negative 6 over negative 2. And then you get 1/3.
So you do simplify, but personally, unless I'm really good at simplifying this already, I might pick up what to help me simplify this? A calculator, thank you. Alright, calculators are great for this weird thing called calculations. I know, it's crazy, right? That's it. Negative 6 divided by negative 2, what do you get?
1/3.
No, buddy. This is why you actually pick up a calculator. And you do negative 6 divided by negative 2.
Alright, I'll get
3.
Oh, 3.
You're wrong. It's actually.
Okay, it's actually 3.
See a little more into it.
I got
Okay.
it later.
How?
because he did negative 2 divided by negative 6, or didn't do it. Right.
Okay, and can you show me now?
So Kelsey, what you accidentally did is you did x divided by y. Notice if you do x, that's a 1 divided by the y, you get 3. But if you do this x divided by that y, you still get 1/3. You just did x divided by y instead of y divided by x. That's all you did.
So the correct answer would be like 3 and 3.
So the correct answer is that the slopes are 3, so the lines are parallel. So you still got the parallel. It's not rolling your eyes. You still got the parallel, but you would have had the wrong slope. So like on the rubric, you might have gotten a 4.5 instead of a 6 because you correctly realized that they were parallel lines, but you had that calculation error of doing 2 divided by 6.
Why didn't you inform me?
Because it's okay to make mistakes so that we learn from them. This is why we put our phones on silent/vibrate when we come to class. Okay. But I do want to point this out, okay? Kelsey's all myth that I didn't tell her she was wrong. Is it okay to make mistakes?
No.
Yes. Especially if you do what? Learn from them. It is great to make mistakes, especially if you learn from them. If you're not making mistakes, you're really not actually learning. It just means you're reproducing the same thing over and over and over again. If you already know how to do it, then what's the point of you doing it 1,000 times?
Why make mistakes if you're trying to succeed?
Because in order to find success, you have to make mistakes first. Okay? Point case example, Michael Jordan.
He made a mistake.
He made mistakes. Does anyone know what happened to him in high school when it came to basketball?
They wouldn't
He
let
didn't
him
make the
play.
team.
Yeah.
He failed.
And then
He did not
failed.
make the team. And then what did he do that entire year?
He practiced.
He worked hard. He practiced day in and day out because he was like, I'm making the team. Became one of the best basketball players of all time. Right? He changed the way we understood the game. Like legitimately. Is he necessarily as good as LeBron or any of those guys?
Yes.
I don't know about that. Well, hold on. I don't know. I'm not saying one way or the other, but here's the thing. He changed the game. You can't have LeBron without Michael Jordan. He changed the way the game was played. When we talk about light bulbs, who invented the light bulb? Say it again. Thomas Edison. Thank you. Some people have learned that. Okay.
Wait, so
Hey,
who
stop.
created
Here's the point. Stop and listen. Here's the point. How many times did Thomas Edison fail to make the light bulb before he made it? Not just a lot.
Every time.
Not just plenty of times.
His whole life?
1,000 times. He tried 1,000 times before he invented the light bulb.
Wait, who was it?
Thomas Edison. So, did he make a lot of mistakes?
Yes.
But did he learn from them and improve?
Yes.
Well, he made a light bulb, didn't he? So did he learn from them and improve?
Yes.
Okay? And I need y'all to hear me very clearly on this. Listen. Hey, stop and listen. I personally have made plenty of mistakes mathematically, academically, just in life in general. And if I did not learn from them, I would be a way worse person off than I am today. Because I am willing to learn from my mistakes, I constantly grow and get better. The reason why my class is not exactly the same as it was at the beginning of class is because I learned from my mistakes. I have changed the way that I do videos. I have given you the active collaboration rubric I developed because I wanted better for y'all and I wanted you to see how you were performing. The rubric that I used to grade y'all is because last year I became very acutely aware that I was not giving good feedback to my students so they could learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, huh?
What? I said I made the rubric last year because before that I realized I wasn't doing well before that.
Oh.
Right. So I need y'all to understand, mistakes are good and they're actually necessary for you to become the best person you can be. But you have to learn from those mistakes and grow and get better. It's okay to make mistakes. You can't ignore them or shut down because you made mistakes. You learn from them to grow and get better. Alright? If you hear nothing else this year, I hope you hear that. So, I'm okay with mistakes, and I want you to make mistakes because we're going to learn and grow from them. All right. Any questions about parallel versus perpendicular lines with respect to this before we get started with today? Going
No.
once, going twice.
No.
Sold. All right. So, as a quick reminder, okay, here's our agenda. We're going to do a quick reminder of the active collaboration rubric. It's been a while since we've looked at this as a whole class, and so I need you to have your heads up, and I want you to pay attention to this, because these are the things, like, legitimately, you have access to your active collaboration on a daily basis, so that you know what I am seeing, huh? I emailed you and your parents a Google Sheet on which I enter your active collaboration scores every single day. If you aren't sure, if you still have it or you want it, let me know and I'll email it back to you. But I enter this data every single day so that you can see what I am seeing. Because if you are seeing zeros, ones, twos, are you learning well in class?
No.
You're probably sleeping, you're off task, you're distracting others, and if you are off task and not working on the math, are you going to learn well? No. A 3, some people just work hard and they don't like to talk with the others in the group, and so they get 3s. That's fine. When you're looking at those 4s and 5s, I can guarantee you, you are learning more than other people in the class though. Because this is what we're looking at when we look at 4s and 5s. So remember, right? And I know it's a little small, but I'll read it out to you. So it's 0, right? If you're getting a 0, that just means you're not in class, you did not do any of the makeup work, or basically you're present, but you don't do anything, right? If you do not participate in class the majority of the time, you're getting a 0 because you're not doing anything. If you're asleep, you got your head down, you're walking around the room, talking to people across the room, you're in danger of getting those 0s and 1s because your active collaboration effectively is not here. If you need major improvement, you're looking at this of not completing your assignments, right? But maybe you work on the assignment, but you're off task the majority of the class. You're disengaged, right? This could also be due to sleeping or being zoned out, but if you're doing a 1, it's a little bit better than a 0, but not much. 2s and 3s. This is okay, but we need to work if we're doing this, right? A 2, you're off task, but you're working at least a third of the class. Is a third of the class very much?
No.
Yes,
No.
this
A
one an hour and a half for 90
But-
minutes.
Hold on. It's 30 minutes, but like if you earn a third of the total points on an assignment, what grade do you have?
Got F.
An F. That's a 33%. Is a third very much? No. If you're putting a third of your effort in, are you learning very much? No. Okay? So, we do not want to be in that section of only working a third of the class. That's your attention is not consistent. I have to redirect you to work on the class problems multiple times. Or if you are distracting students multiple times, you may be falling into this 2 range. Kelsey giggles because she knows she does it sometimes. Developing a 3. Students complete assignments, they share their work. Remember, the active collaboration requires that you are actually participating with your small group and with the whole class discussion. And so if you're looking at a 3, you may share your work, right? But you're not really attempting to understand how others are thinking, right? Or engaging with peers about their thought process. The whole point is that you collaborate and talk about the math. Students in this category may not be open to critiques. There's a limited amount of interaction within the group. All right. Notice here, during whole class discussions, you may take notes or share some thoughts, but you're not doing both. You need to be doing both in whole class discussions. 4s and 5s. This is where you want to live. In the 4s and 5s range, if you are engaged or you're advanced with your active collaboration, that means you are participating and that means you are learning. What score do you need to have every single day to earn 100% for the week?
5.
You only need a 4.
Well,
You need a 4 every single day. I told y'all this before. A 5 really means you're going above and beyond. If you score a 4 every single day, then you're earning a 100. Okay? But that also means if you earn a couple of 5s in there, you can earn over 100. This can be a good way to raise your score just by being actively engaged. Are you serious right now? I'm literally going over active collaboration, and instead of paying attention, you're distracting each other. Is that a smart call?
No,
No, it's not. That's what I thought. Okay. to be engaged, this is where you want to pay attention. This is the most important. You have to share your thoughts, right? Your insights and your thoughts about the presented problems or mathematical concepts. That means you are listening to, considering others' thoughts and perspectives, right? You are sharing what you have thought about, but also seeking and listening to their thoughts, which means you need to hold your group also accountable to be successful. What I started to find is students who typically earn a 5 are also in groups where the whole group earns a 5. Because it's hard for someone to be sharing their thoughts and considering others if everyone's not sharing. But as soon as you all start talking, that's when the whole group starts to earn a 5. In fact, I have 2 groups. In my first block today, everybody in the group earned a 5 because they were all engaging and talking. So the more you choose to engage and talk, the better off your group's going to be. Huh?
What is class? How many 5s got you get?
I mean, right now I haven't really started grading, but we don't get 5s very often, I can tell you that. There's a handful of us that I could pick out right now just looking around that are the pretty much the only ones who earn 5s. I'm not going to say them out loud, but...
Sit. I keep
Why?
While playing, I would have that. We want to know.
Why do you want to know?
Because so the other people can succeed.
Makes us
So the other people
I mean, like, here's the
You're not
thing.
getting a 5.
The only way that I will say it is if you are looking at it in a way of saying, okay, that's who I need to be more like.
Okay, go on.
Alright? So this is what these are the people who I have seen make 5s in this class
I'm a
before.
2 when I was playing.
Alright? It's been a bad week this week. I've got lots of 4s.
And that's good, that's better than nothing.
Good.
Oof, I don't have any 5s this week. I have Alana 4s every single day.
So I'm smart. And she learns.
But she doesn't have 4s because she's smart. She has 4s because she's talking and actively engaging within her group. Nice does help, right? When you are nice to people, it's easier to talk with others. I have Michaela at 2 4s and 1 3. Zaria, I also have all 4s. I want you to notice, Alana and Zaria are both making all 4s because it's hard, or it's easier to make 4s when you have someone in the group who is talking like that. I got Rose with a couple of 4s. That's the only ones with a couple of 4s. Let's see.
Do I got a 0?
Last 9 weeks, we
Did I get a 0?
had Bashar with a couple of 5s last 9 weeks on days where, hold on, I'm not saying that was every day. I said he had a couple of 5s. I don't see anyone yet who consistently made 5s.
What did I get? Did I get 4?
You know, weirdly enough, you can go look at the Google sheet that I post on every single day.
See, I got a problem with that.
Okay.
I can't.
Yes, you can.
I can't.
You don't want to.
I can't.
Do you have a cell phone?
Yeah, I do, but I
Then you can pull up Google
I don't
Sheets.
have service on it.
When you're at the school, you do.
No, you
Hold on. I didn't say you had great service, but you have some service.
You know
what you should do is you really should shout over each other. That'll make me listen. Michaela had several 5s last 9 weeks. Had Brooke with several 5s last 9 weeks.
Yeah, did
I had Jalen with a few 5s last 9 weeks.
Are you one?
No. So, hey. No. Wait, you said Jalen talks too much? Okay, but when I hear him talking, he's regularly talking about the math, and I may miss some details.
Do I get a 0 again?
Okay, I literally said when I hear him. Okay? I do remember he has a tendency to talk about food. Now, let me clarify, I'm not saying he made 5s all the time. I'm saying Jalen made a couple of 5s last 9 weeks. But those days are the days... Why are you talking over me when I'm trying to talk? No, you talking over someone is not you being a nice person. So, my point is this. When we talk, we need to be actively talking about the math. We need to be actively engaged. And I need you to understand, a 5 doesn't... The point of a 5 is not, hey, this person is awesome. The point of the 5 is saying, you were actively talking, which means you were learning today. I guarantee you there is no way that a person who makes 5s ever comes close to failing my class. In fact, students who make 5s typically have a B or an A in my class. Students who make 5s typically have a B or an A because they are actively talking. Y'all see it as, well, they're smart, so they're talking. No, they are learning because they are talking. I need you to understand that you have the ideas completely flipped. It is not, hey, they are talking because they are smart. It is, hey, they are learning because they are talking. In order for you to learn, you have to talk about the math in front of you. Okay? That is a focus. And I will say there's a handful of students who can learn really well. Not to make them feel awkward, but I don't think I've heard Jeremy talk on his own all year. You talk when I ask him questions. Like even now, he's like, Mr. Kenny, stop talking about me, and I don't even want to look that way.
Who's Jeremy?
So Jeremy doesn't talk very much. However, he consistently makes A's on every assessment. That means he's doing fine. There are some students who can do that. However, I also guarantee you the ones who do talk make higher scores. The whole point is, when you talk about the math, you're helping each other learn and grow. And I want you to focus on that. Okay? So let's continue the activity that we started yesterday. Oh, really quickly, I do want to point this out, this last detail. Right here, during whole class discussions, if you want to be at the 4s and the 5s, the student is actively sharing their thoughts in the whole class discussion. They are asking questions during the whole class discussion, and they are taking notes. You have to be involved in the whole class discussion in order to get into that 5 range. Kelsey, I need you to put that iPad away because that's not helping you learn right now.
Let me just check
No,
my
ma'am.
real quick.
I will say I modified this 4 down here, so you don't have to do all 3 things, you only have to do 2 of the 3. In fact, I texted the gentleman I developed this rubric with today to confirm that he is okay with us changing that to you just have to complete 2 of those 3. Right? So again, I'm always looking to reflect and grow and get better at these things.
What did I get?
So here's our objectives, right? We want to identify the slope of a line parallel to a given line. We want to identify the slopes of a line perpendicular to a given line and then determine if 2 lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. We should already have this sheet from yesterday. Let's get this out. We already tackled some of these problems yesterday. I'll get it in a second. Stop eating food in my class. Eat before you come to class.
Oh, I'm gonna eat.
All right. Does anyone have any questions about what we're supposed to be doing on this sheet? Not that sheet, but. We're doing the whole sheet, okay? Front and back, working on this together in class.
Crazy.
Does anyone need any help finding the sheet or any questions about what we are doing since we started it yesterday? The light's going back on in a second. Huh? Yes, we have a whole 9 weeks to go. You will have another exam. Thank you. How about you focus on your learning, and when you learn, you do well on the exams.
I did well.
What she said.
What?
I got 91.
Can we, if we, okay, so, can I make a deal? If we, somebody, like, if I get at least 4, like, 4s or a lot of 4s, can I be exempt from your exams?
I can't make that decision.
Wait,
How about 5?
it depends on, he just said he put
No, I can't make that decision. The policy on exams is that based on how many absences you have, you can either have an A, B, or a C. I don't have a control over whether you can be exempt or not. That is a policy made in the front office. Okay, yes ma'am. Say again. I can't hear you.
Are you gonna pass out the exam?
Yes, I am going to, not right now. Okay. Any other questions? Ready to get to work?
Wait, hold on.
No questions? Going once, going twice? Let's get to work.
Guys, you lost the paper.
Yes, that one. Here, hold on this just in case it's weird.
I lost the paper.
Moving around. Weird. Someone lost the paper.
Kenny, I need another table.
So glad I started just printing out 7 extra copies.
What?
You got it back now.
Yeah, my bad, I didn't.
We're gonna work on the back side.
Quick question, are we all working on the same problem right now? What problem are you on, Claire? Say it one more time. So you're on number 1, which one are you on, Claire? You're on number 2, which one are you on? Really, it doesn't look like you have to get started. So I want y'all to notice, you haven't even gotten your hand out of your shirt to be able to write stuff down. My point is this, if we're on 1, 2, and we haven't started, can we talk about the math? No. Let's work together, work at the same pace, work and help each other out. So I know that you're done with this one. You're done with 1? Okay. So make sure that, just wait a second till Claire's done writing 1 and then start on 2 together. Miss Mommy, can you pause or stop the recording?
Maybe. Do I just, what button do I hit?